Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon or morning, wherever you are. We will get started in a few minutes, actually a few seconds. We're just letting in everybody into the fireside chat here. Jatin, let me know when everything is ready. Let me know as soon as we have all the participants in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think we are good to go.
All right. Thanks, Jatin. Again, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ram Kanamuri. I will be your host today, conducting this fireside chat. I have with me guest speakers from SoftwareAG. I will quickly introduce them as well. But before we get started, a quick housekeeping. This is a fireside chat. We might not be using too much of slides. It's more of an interactive session between the participants. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of the topic. So we'll allow for participants to submit questions. You can use the Q&A button on your Zoom webinar screens and submit your questions while we are through this fireside chat. We will hopefully address all of the questions. In case if we're not able to cover some of your questions, we will definitely reach out to you and address them individually as well. Again, thanks so much for joining us this morning, this afternoon. Maybe it's evening for somebody else, but thanks again for joining us. The topic of today is integration of things in the cloud. I know it is relevant to IoT or relevant to IoT, but more specific to the aspects of integration in these IoT solutions. Today, we have with us our distinguished guests, speakers from SoftwareAG. Let me introduce to you Subhash Ramchandran. Subhash is a senior vice president at SoftwareAG and has been responsible for product management, product strategy of both Web Methods and Cumulocity product line for over 2 decades, I think. Subhash, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you've been a long-standing pillar within that organization, and thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
I also have with me Ricky Singh. Ricky is the vice president for IoT in the Americas at SoftwareAG. Although Ricky is new at SoftwareAG, he comes with a trove of experience and track record of solving complex challenges through technology. He brings a digital-first approach to deliver many industry-specific transformations, and is now leading and spearheading a winning strategy for SoftwareAG for both its customers, bringing in various market trends with the Cumulocity IoT platform. Thanks again, Ricky, for joining us, and you as well, Subhash.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Ram. Thank
you. Before we get started on our fireside chat, I just wanted to quickly introduce the organizations, Kellton and SoftwareAG, for some of you who are not familiar with Kellton Tech. We are a digital transformation company. More of course, we are a services and a consulting organization, north of about 1,500, 1,600 employees right now globally. We have operations in USA, of course, Americas are our biggest market, but we have also presence in Europe and Asia. Our client base is extensive or broad and wide. We deal with all the way from startups to Fortune 500 companies. The team that is conducting this fireside chat is Integration and Emerging Technologies practice of Kellton Tech. We bring in innovative solutions in integration, API management, IoT solutions, and automation, including RPA, AI, and ML. Today, we have our distinguished guest from SoftwareAG. For those of you who are not familiar of SoftwareAG, SoftwareAG is a 50-year-old, 50-plus-year-old company, founded in 1969, one of the oldest software companies in the world. Maybe some of you from the old school might know mainframes like Natural and Adabas. That's where SoftwareAG started way back 50 years ago. But since then, it's transformed many organizations with innovative technologies. They are pioneers in integration and IoT platforms, and we will talk about some of those platforms and value proposition that SoftwareAG brings to its customers all over the world. They have been working with the majority of the Fortune 500 companies, more than 2.5 million users, 400 plus partners like Kellton Tech are supporting SoftwareAG technology, and over I think 4,700 or close to 5,000 employees worldwide. Definitely on the IoT side, they have been on the forefront. They are known to make things simple and quick time to market for various IoT and IoT solutions. With that said, I just wanted to quickly thank again our guest speakers, Subhash and Ricky, to joining us today. And our topic of the day is integration in the IoT world, and how integration helps not only integrating the edge and things, but also the cloud and the rest of the enterprise IT, and eventually transforming various organizations with their data operations in Internet of Things. With that said, I would like to kick off with a maybe question to Ricky. I understand that IoT sometimes can also be called Internet of Things. So maybe Ricky, can you give us some introduction on what is integration all about in IoT and IoT projects? Your insights will be valuable here.
Yeah, absolutely. Ram, maybe I'll use, I know we're talking about industrial IoT and enterprises leveraging the Internet of Things, but I think I'm reminded of an example of my personal life many years ago. I tend to be a little bit of a geek when it comes to connected devices. And I think back to a time when I got my first connected light bulb, and I installed the light bulb in my home, and finally, after clicking it on and off 5 times, managed to get it to pair with the right router and show up in a mobile app on my smartphone. And I was quite proud of myself. And later that evening, I was sitting on my couch and I decided to turn my light off. And I realized I first had to find my phone. I had to unlock my phone. I had to find the mobile app on my phone, find the right light bulb on my phone, and then hit off. And a figurative light bulb went off in my head that was quite dumb. That wasn't a smart light. It was quite a stupid way to turn that light off when I could have just stood up and hit the switch on the wall and turned the light off instead. So I'm reminded of that example because it helps to contrast now the experience I have when that light bulb is integrated, not into the rest of my home, but into my life itself. That light bulb now turns on 10 minutes after sunset. The connected devices in my home know what time of day the sun sets in my neighborhood and what time it's going to get dark in my house. The light turns on automatically. If I am not home using the location from my phone, it knows, hey, there's probably no point turning the light on because nobody's home to take advantage of that light. Or if it's in the middle of the night and I happen to walk downstairs, it uses the motion sensor on the main floor of my kitchen to turn that light on, even though it's not programmed to do so during that time. So there's an example that I think of is how that light bulb works much better when it's integrated into my home. And when we talk to enterprise customers, not one of them tells us they want more connected things, right? They want efficient outcomes. They want new business models. And I think integration is a key component of that. Taking data that's coming from connected devices or the Internet of Things and integrating them into either new or existing processes and driving outcomes, whether they're better customer experiences, new business models, or operational efficiencies, is really what it's about. So that's why sometimes we call the Internet of Things integration of things, because without integrating them into your business or your life, in the consumer example, they're not very smart.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vicky, again for that. I definitely can see that even in day-to-day projects that we deal with, integration is the kind of the biggest challenge. A lot of times we've seen our customers know their business or know their products that they are converting to be smart, but when it comes to deploying that new business model into the market, they fail to recognize the complexities of the integration or the experience of the user eventually. And integration becomes very crucial to address some of those challenges and make it more seamless. So in that same regard, I would say maybe a question to Subhash is, what are those integration challenges that these organizations are facing usually when they embark upon such IoT solutions or projects?
Sure. That's a great question, Ram. And first of all, thanks for having us. It's really great to be in this webinar. Kellton Tech has been a really nice partner for SoftwareAG, so we appreciate being on this panel. Before I get into the integration challenge, let me give you my own anecdote about IoT. So SoftwareAG started this journey with Cumulocity a few years ago. And I remember when we brought Cumulocity on board, the great thing was, yes, we get wonderful data, and in fact, terabytes of data from sensors, devices, windmills, turbines, you name it. But then very quickly a question came, what if something went wrong, right? What if a sensor raised an alarm? Now what do I do with that? It's like, oh, I got to open up a service ticket somewhere. Okay, now how do I open up a service ticket with, say, Zendesk? Oh, wait, I got to integrate Zendesk into my IoT project, right? And that's where the realization really started and the journey began, even for me personally, that, yeah, IoT is wonderful. I get all this wonderful data, information. And sure, yes, even as part of a non-exception process, I want to be able to propagate this data to a wide variety of maybe cloud data lakes or data warehouses, wherever you want. But that very simple use case, maybe Ricky's light bulb that he internet enabled went out. How do I now inform Ricky that your light bulb is out and something has to be replaced? And therein lies the challenge that you very quickly, as part of an IoT project, realize the need for integration. In fact, Gartner says that about 70% of organizations who embark on IoT projects and go through the project need integration. And there are various other surveys. I think it's Beecham research or Forrester talking about the challenges that organizations face without integration in an IoT project. So let me quickly talk about what is the integration challenge, right? So SoftwareAG, I came from Web Methods and now part of SoftwareAG for over 2 decades. We know the problem of integration and the solution, right? So the problem of integration is multifold. First, you have a wide variety of applications. Integration by definition means you have 2 applications that were not built together wanting to talk to each other, right? So
Right.
they were built independently of each other, and by definition, they don't talk to each other very easily, right? So that's the basic integration challenge. So you have the number of applications, you have the variety. Then you got the diversity of data. Data itself is not one thing. You have, even in the structured world of data, you have various data formats, EDI and XML and flat files and different schemas, right? So the question is, how do I communicate or understand all these different data formats? Then you have the distributed nature of our computing, right? Remember, 20 plus years ago, we were all talking about on-premises. Over time, it's become, public cloud, private cloud, and then back to IoT, edge, right? Edge has become a very important deployment target. Then finally, it is also the people, right? End of the day, it's the people who enable integrations. And for the longest time, and this is something that I have realized as being part of this integration market for so long, integration had always been the realm of the IT specialists, right? You need the developers, you need the technical people doing integration. And that is fine for a long time. But guess what happened? Central IT just got maxed out. They became a bottleneck. And the business realized that, hey, if you depend on central IT, nothing's going to happen. So lines of businesses started adopting cloud technologies. That's what led to the rise of Salesforce with CRM, or Workday with HR, and the list goes on. But also within those business lines, those people said, hey, if I can go select my own CRM vendor or HR tool, why can I not build my own integration, right? Why cannot I do this automation task on my own? And that led to what we call the democratization of integration, right? It's no longer the realm of the specialists, but it's also very much important for non-technical users, business users, to be able to do this on their own. And those are some of the challenges that has stopped this spread and growth of integration. But thanks to technologies like webmethods and our webmethods.io in the cloud, we are able to overcome and in fact make it easier, provide a level playing field for any kind of persona to do integrations.
I think that's a great explanation, Subhash. Thanks for that. Definitely, as we know in the past, integration has always been a challenge, or we can say more of a complex IT skill and capability. But as you also mentioned, especially in IoT and IoT engineering and solutioning, we are dealing with a wide variety of ecosystems. We are dealing with different, not only applications, but different parties coming together to make certain end-to-end business models in IoT and IoT. And then I think a good way to understand how to simplify those integrations is crucial. Maybe APIs and API-based paradigms play a role. So can you, again, maybe this is back to you, Subhash, can you explain how do we simplify such integration challenges, and maybe lead up to how API and API capabilities play a big role in bringing these wide disparate systems to a much more citizen-oriented integration rather than complex IT integrations?
Sure. So in fact, what you're showing right now, Ram, for the audience is the part of the Cumulocity IoT architecture focused on the integration and API layer. And the way I describe sort of the need for both integration, and I already made a case for that, but also API management is very important, right? So what does integration do? Once you have solved the challenge, integration opens up your data silos, right? Even IoT, as we have said, is a form of integration, integrating sensors and devices. So you're opening up the potential to get data from your manufacturing plants, from your wind turbines, from your light bulbs, right? You are opening up those silos. So that's what integration does. And then on the SaaS side, we do the same. But then once you've opened up these data silos, unlock these data silos, I want to now be able to monetize that. That's where API management comes in, right? Can I then build the next generation of applications using APIs or microservices But why would I want to do that, right? So integration unlocks the data silos, gives you the insights, and helps you trigger the rules alerts, right? The example I gave, I have a sensor raising an alarm, and then based on that alarm, I open a service ticket, right? Similarly, I can go with other integration use cases and take my IoT data and send it into an ERP application. But then once I do that, I'm now opening up my business for a whole new revenue channel, a business model, right? And one of my favorite examples, and I know, Ram, we'll cover some customer stories a little later. One of my favorite examples is this telematics company in Italy, and they are a SoftwareAG customer. They use our Cumulative IoT, they use the web methods integration and API. And what they do is they put these little black boxes in people's cars to help them understand driving behavior. Obviously, you and me as drivers, we allow this box to be put in. And then based on the driving behavior, they sell this information to insurance companies so that insurance companies can offer much better rates more frequently to the driver, right? And that's all based on data. It's based on this telematics data that is being generated through our driving behavior and patterns, right? And so the way this information is now shared with insurance providers, with other consumers, is through APIs. So
right.
Once you have connectivity in place, which is what integration, the problem that integration solves, you have now set up yourself for that next step. How do I monetize this? And the answer is really through APIs or API management. So expose APIs to your consumers, you open up these new revenue channels, and that allows you, in the case of this telematics company in Italy, to really build a completely new business just around providing better insurance rates for drivers.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. Just to, I know integration and API are the simplifying aspect of an IoT and an IoT project. I do understand also whenever a customer is embarking on an IoT journey, usually they might have a business case in hand. They're looking to implement an end-to-end solution that will transform their business model itself. So yes, definitely they would start off creating that smart thing that is out there on the edge, and integration starts at the edge, of course. Also, integration traverses through various connectivity options, securing the data and the messages when it comes to the IT side of those solutions. Definitely, we have seen on the IoT solutions, device management and device connectivity is very crucial. Many of the platforms like Cumulative bring those capabilities, out of box, robust capabilities that will, I would say, allow for rapid time to market to some of these IoT solutions. But what we have seen in the market and also demanded by many of the customers, again, IoT has been a evolving journey to many customers. Sometimes most of the customers are just testing the waters kind of a thing. For them, IoT is not really a strategic direction, but much more of a tactical direction. And we've seen many customers leverage the native cloud platforms like AWS or Azure, and leverage those what we call disparate functionalities from these platforms in the aspect of edge connectivity or data management or messaging, and building various functionality from scratch. But on the other end, we have also seen platforms that are built for purpose, like SoftwareAG's Cumulative and other vendors as well. So maybe this question is to Ricky. Maybe you can give us an understanding on when we embark upon building an IoT or an IoT solution, how much of a difference is it to build IoT solutions from scratch on an AWS, you're leveraging AWS kind of components versus leveraging a what you call enterprise grade platforms or a platform as a service like Cumulative?
Great question, Ram. I also think where we are in the maturity cycle of IoT has contributed to some of the decision points that enterprises are presented with when making that choice. As you can tell, I'm a fan of analogies, and I'll use a different analogy here that I sometimes use with my customers, and probably fresh for some of the folks here coming off of Thanksgiving week and heading into the holidays. If you baked a pie or a cake for Thanksgiving and you walked down the aisle in your grocery store, the baking aisle has sort of two sides to the aisle, right? You could turn to the left, and on the left you have the baking soda and the vanilla extract and the flour, and you can pick each of these things individually and go home and bring out your measuring scale and measure the baking soda and the flour and the sugar and try and make yourself a great cake or a great pie. Or you could turn to the right side of that aisle where there's a nice Betty Crocker box, and you take the box and you whip 2 eggs into it and you stick it in the oven, right? I personally usually pick the box on the right side, but I use that analogy because it's quite accurate here. If you are a Michelin star chef and you know exactly what proportions you want to use of baking soda and flour and sugar and vanilla extract, you can use the equivalent of microservices as those ingredients and build your IoT platform leveraging AWS or Microsoft or a plethora of other microservices out there. However, the last time I tried that, the cake that I made wasn't very edible. Whereas if you go to the right side and pick one of these built for purpose enterprise grade platforms, you can see everything that's included in that box, right? The 2 eggs in this analogy is really the outcomes that your business is looking to drive, the particular things that you may be using or the devices or gateways, and then the type of application or business outcomes that you're driving. But we make that box as simple as possible. It's scalable, it's easy to deploy, and it helps our customers achieve business outcomes faster than getting into the pitfalls of trying to get these services to just talk to each other, right? So our recommendation to customers usually is, try and fail fast. Let us handle the complexity in what it takes. And thank you for bringing this image up. I think it helps to understand what all is included in that box. What are the types of capabilities that go into an IoT platform? How do you manage devices when those devices can be, 1,000 different types of devices out there? Some of them talk over Linux, some of them are, really lightweight devices like Raspberry Pi. How do you then send that data? How do you do user management? We try and obfuscate that complexity and get our customers to integrate quickly, send that data into their existing business processes to realize outcomes and then move into a scale phase. That's probably the key difference I see in maturity now. We're no longer spending time in throwaway work or what we used to call POC hell, where a customer spends all of their time just trying to get devices to connect and collecting data, and then not really say, the question becomes, so what, who cares? To now we're entering a phase where we can do that for them quickly. And at the end of that POC phase, they can quickly say, okay, these are the data sets we need. These are the types of devices we need. Here's how we integrate into our existing and new business models and processes and existing systems so that we can quickly move into scaling an IoT deployment and realizing business value.
Thanks, Ricky. Thanks for that. I understand, yes, time to market is very crucial. Definitely these built-to-purpose platforms come with a plethora of capabilities that, I would say most customers don't want to reinvent the wheel. These are things that are not supposed to be developed from scratch, right? These are already proven frameworks and accelerators, especially when it comes to edge management or device management, connectivity. Those should be in the background. I would definitely understand that most customers would like to say concentrate more on their business use case and how to convert their business use case into a new business model, a new revenue generating model, concentrate on their eventual customer experience rather than trivial technology building blocks. Again, don't reinvent the wheel. Definitely leverage those platforms. But I think sometimes those same customers bring up a good point. Is this a platform that I'll get tied into? Is this an expansive platform? What are my options and things like that? So I think that leads me into another question, maybe back to you, Subhash. What are those various flexible deployment options for both the Cumulocity, the IoT side of the platform, and maybe the integration side of the platform? What various options does these customers have? How flexible is it when it comes to, say, understanding the total cost of ownership or operating parameters surrounding these new technologies?
Sure. So the most common deployment patterns these days are in the cloud. Very obvious statement. Certainly, a number of organizations have been going to the cloud. There's a very aggressive move that we see even within our own customer base for customers to move to the cloud. And so the good news is both Cumulocity and webmethods.io are available as public cloud services, supported and managed and hosted by SoftwareAG. We support Azure, we support AWS. Those are our main cloud providers. And if you see this slide here, this picture, each of these technologies does what it's good at, right? Best of breed. Cumulocity is great at device integration, management, everything to do with connecting your things. Webmethods.io on the iPaaS side is great at integrating and connecting to a wide variety of SaaS, databases, you name it, wide variety of those applications, if they're in the cloud. And then if they are on-prem, we have an integration agent, a hybrid agent, that can then provide you the on-prem connectivity. We know that many of our customers are never going to be pure on-prem, pure cloud. They're going to be hybrid, right? They're going to have some on-prem footprint still there. And then maybe, over time, they'll have more in the cloud. But then that's fine. So the deployment options go across on-prem and cloud. Our deployment is certainly available in both as well, but we see more of our customers go towards the cloud, especially with topics like IoT. Your devices are not inside your four walls. They are all over the globe, forget the internet. And so it does help you a lot in terms of providing those connectivity options directly in the cloud. One thing I want to highlight as a aid to accelerate your integration is this notion of recipe. So remember that example I gave, Cumulocity IoT device raises an alarm, and then you can easily go and create a service ticket. That is what we call a recipe, right? Or an integration template. And we have hundreds of these integration templates available in our platform. So things that we have most commonly seen with other customers, we've already have them as a recipe, which means that you as an end user doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You start off with an existing recipe. Of course, you tweak it, you customize it based on what you need, and you're up and running. So we also reduce that time to develop your integrations based on pre-existing recipes that may already be available. So I think in the second picture, Ram, you show the hybrid agent, which is a great way to connect to your applications. I mean, people say core banking, never leave my four walls, right? It's going to be in my on-premises, fine, no problem. Or my ERP system, is going to be inside my on-prem, no problem. We have the ability to connect anything in the cloud as well as on-prem, or even private cloud for that matter, through this deployment architecture.
Wonderful, wonderful. And a quick question to follow up on the same subject, Subhash. So both Cumulocity and webmethods, of course, SoftwareAG provides them in SoftwareAG Cloud. But at the same time, if the customer wants to leverage these components in their own managed private clouds or other public clouds, they can also do that as well, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, maybe this is my personal interest as well. Is the web methods iPaaS, that is web methods IO, and the web methods that is self-managed by a customer and deployed in his own cloud or managed private cloud. How different are those platforms? I know traditionally that the web methods on-premise was, we've been using it for more than 2 decades now, and the web methods IO came out of it and was much more of an iPaaS and managed cloud from SoftwareAG. Now, when it comes to combined functionality, how close are they in matching up with these robust capabilities that we see on the on-premise web methods?
I would say we've actually taken it further in the cloud.
Okay.
Remember, ease of use is the driving factor when you talk about the cloud, right? People have less patience. Of course, we have the next generation of developers or users coming, the millennials and the Gen Zers, and they are the iPhone generation. They don't have too much patience for reading manuals and books and building things. No, they need it to be intuitive. They need it to be, they need help inline, right? And so that's what we've done in the cloud when we built out the webmethods.io iPaaS product, is to truly be, keep in mind ease of use. Keep in mind, things like recipes. You're not starting with a blank slate. You're starting with something that is already, pre-cooked for you, and also provide inline guidance with, videos and tutorials, so that if any step of the way you're stuck, there's help available, right? Sure, we have great documentation, we have manuals, but most of the new generation doesn't want to go pouring it over some manual. They want the help as they encounter issues. And that's what we have really done to re-engineer, re-architect. So the web methods of old that you remember from 20 years ago, sure, it's still there. And of course, we have Eclipse and our designer to develop and build those integrations. But really what we've done in the cloud is revolutionize, think about the personas. I've talked about democratizing the personas, and really, think about the user experience, the end-to-end experience. And
Absolutely.
That's another thing that we talk about is whether, and in fact, when we say the iPaaS, we are talking about integration, API management, B2B integration, MFT. In fact, that's one of our new products that we just launched a month or so ago. But then add Cumulosity to the list as well. And our goal is to provide such customers an end-to-end customer experience, so that when they, one of the things we do in the cloud is SoftwareAG Cloud is the governing solution on top of all the cloud products, whether it's web methods, IO, or Cumulosity. So that means you log in once, and once you log in through an app switcher, you can easily go across multiple offerings. Okay, the tenancy and the way things are configured, your users and roles, very much unified. So you don't have to think in terms of, oh, I do it a certain way here and a certain way there. No, it's very unified in the cloud. So those are some of the big changes we've done in the cloud. Again, keeping in mind the end-to-end customer experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just to finish up on some of these topics that I have on my mind, definitely, cloud and Cumulosity are SoftwareAG Cloud, or what we call webmethods.io, are new components. Most of the customers that we work with are wanting to leverage. Sometimes they are not too familiar with calculating the costs of such a strategy. Yes, most of these components are available for subscription, but is there something that SoftwareAG also offers, like a trial period or a trial tenant, or even bring in what you call accelerators for migrating from the older strategy to the newer strategies? So some of those things that you can bring to light will also help our audience here. I don't know, maybe Ricky,
Yeah,
or
sure.
Subhash, one of you.
And Ram, I think the short answer to your question is yes, we offer a free Cumulosity trial. We also have accelerators, solution accelerators that are available in tenants that help our customers with a specific, say, vertical solution, if it's remote asset monitoring or condition-based maintenance. Those are tools that or templates that we offer to help customers accelerate the realization of those business outcomes that we talked about that are incredibly important. From an economic perspective, there's also studies we've done with some of the leading analyst firms. Forrester published recently a total economic impact from utilizing Cumulosity. And I know the number sounds a little bit crazy, but it was a 339% return on investment on the one case study that they did. Gartner's consecutively ranked us as a leader, respectively, in the IoT platform and integration platform as a service space. So yes, we have trials available for your customers, and then working alongside Kellton Tech to help your customers both identify those business outcomes and apply the tools to help get them there is a partnership really designed for success here.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you for that. Just before I go into our next topic, I definitely want to talk about some of the success stories that SoftwareAG might want to share. Are there any other pointers that, again, back to Subhash, you or Ricky, any other pointers before we go into those discussing about the success stories? Any pointers that you think you can give the audience about overall, engineering the right integration concepts into these IoT solutions?
Maybe one thing just on this slide, the deployment option. Actually, there is another deployment option that I did not mention, which is embedded integration. So in your picture, you have Cumulosity and iPaaS kind of side by side. One of the key differentiators we have for our webmethods.io platform is this thing called embedded integration. It's a product called Embed. It can actually sit right inside of Cumulosity. So if I'm a Cumulosity end user, I do not even need to know that there is enterprise integration under the covers. So we've also made that option available inside of Cumulosity. So when you're building out a solution, as Ricky has described, the overall end-to-end solution will have integration under the covers, but the experience is fully baked into the Cumulosity user interface. And so that's also a deployment option that we have provided. Makes it very easy for your end users, not even have to think about, okay, I'm done with the device integration piece, now to get into the SaaS integration piece. Who cares? It's all part of a single holistic solution.
Oh, thanks for that as well. I've heard about it. Cumulosity comes with a Cumulosity agent development ADK that can be embedded into any of those hardware, firmware, operating technology level setup as well. Not only small smart things, but heavy machinery like from the large manufacturers have been leveraging Cumulosity Edge and Cumulosity agents to make their machines even smarter, especially in the manufacturing sector. I think we lead up to that segue now to talk about some of the success stories that SoftwareAG can bring to the table. Maybe back to you, Subhash. Do you want to talk about any specific success story that comes to your mind, maybe on the manufacturing side first?
I'll actually let Ricky maybe give a manufacturing, but first, the one that I want to talk about is something that is much more fun in terms of an end user consumer thinking about it. We have lots of different success stories that go across different areas. This one is actually a Swiss customer called Greaser. Greaser, for those of you who do not know, make external blinds. And so the challenge that Greaser had, there we go. Challenge that Greaser had was, hailstorms or unexpected bad weather was really wreaking havoc on these external blinds. And that led to costly insurance claims, the damage. And so what they did was, using the information that they have from their local meteorological service, That data then through the web methods IO integration comes in through real time. That triggers off the sensor that is actually baked into the blinds mechanism. In which case, Cumulocity IoT triggers sort of the alert response anytime there's bad weather, and basically, closes the blinds, right? When it's so the hailstorm is detected, the IoT data is communicated, and the blinds go up. And it sounds simple enough, but the amazing customer satisfaction that Greaser customers have had as a result of this implementation, because damage is avoided, money that they would normally pay for such damages is saved, just has led to happier and more satisfied customers, right? So a simple case study that everyone can relate to, but really looking at in terms of how IoT is really powering sort of your blinds, but then getting external data, right? In this case, it's not IoT triggering an integration, it's integration triggering an IoT. So that's the other reason I brought this up, because you typically think, oh, okay, a sensor is going to trigger something. But no, weather data can trigger the opening or closing of blinds, right? And
Right.
just a cool story for us to share.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Subhash. So Ricky, do you have another success story that you wanted to talk about? I believe it's a manufacturing customer of ours.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not manufacturing in, a lot of times when we talk about IoT can be talking about shop floor and automation of the actual manufacturing site itself. I think this one is referring more to manufacturers of products and equipment, and medical device equipment that can that has transformed the type of experiences they can deliver to their customers, as well as optimizing their internal supply chain. This is a topic that's extremely relevant at the moment, considering the constraints that COVID has placed upon supply chains globally. But this particular manufacturer that creates systems for power generation transmission, as well as medical devices, wanted to transfer or transition their business from just selling hardware to selling outcomes and services to their customers. And an IoT platform along with integration is at the core of that transformation for this customer. They're leveraging, of course, a turnkey platform, but you can imagine in their particular scenario, especially when you start getting into medical diagnosis, they need this platform to be highly available, highly flexible, and highly scalable to deliver in the types of environments that they're looking for. And this customer was not only able to transition their business model and optimize their supply chain, but was able to do so in faster than they had initially anticipated when they embarked upon this particular journey. And nothing, I think, tells a story better than the customer themselves saying, hey, because of this capability that SoftwareAG provided us through Cumulocity IoT and the integration capabilities, we could truly transition ourselves from being a manufacturer of a product to delivering services and outcomes. Leveraging this platform is really a key part of that transformation.
I know we don't have the name mentioned here on the slide, but is this is this Siemens? Are we talking about?
I'm not sure if we can mention the name for this
Okay.
one publicly, which is probably why we didn't have this listed. Now, we do, just a point to note, since you brought up Siemens, the IoT platform space out there can be quite confusing in general. Cumulocity is actually under the core of a lot of other platforms that you may have heard of out there. So Siemens Mindsphere actually is built on large part with Cumulocity itself. So that is a fun fact I can share with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And with that said, I'd like to talk about Kellton's own experience in a similar scenario as well. In this case, the customer is one of the top control and security solutions company in the world. Just imagine they provide access control and as simple as opening the door for somebody who has access to go into that room. And it's not as simple as use case as such, but imagine access control in a big airport. Imagine access control in a huge facilities, or imagine access control for that guest who's walking into his hotel room, for example. So this is a company that provides access control and security solutions for such use cases. Their customers are all these big hotels, big airports, large facilities that need such access control solutions. Traditionally, some of these access control solutions are, what we call contained within a monolithic solution that is usually on premise. But since the advent of cloud and IoT, they transform their entire solution into an IoT-based and cloud-ready or cloud-first kind of a solution. And for them, they serve their large enterprises. Their customers are very large enterprises. And imagine when they bring their solution to the market, their solution should be readily capable to integrate into their enterprise customers' systems. Like, for example, if we take an example of a hotel, like a Hilton, say buys their solution, Hilton needs to now integrate their CRM and its customer data into this IoT solution, because that customer is walking up to the room with his cell phone. There's no key card, and the door opens for him, right? So that's the overall solution. But also at the same time, this customers of ours, the access control company, needs to sell their solution for multiple enterprises. So that means what we call is a multi-tenancy kind of a solution. So it's not only a full-fledged SaaS platform that they developed. Of course, there's a lot of IP in that engineering of their entire platform. I would say about 40-50% of their platform is built on top of Cumulacity and readily available capabilities on top of Cumulacity, including that device management and all the capabilities that Cumulacity brings to manage the edge, even update the firmware on the edge over the wire. So those kind of capabilities from Cumulacity really allowed them to innovate on their offering into their market. They have been highly successful with this new business model and approach. They have even changed their business model and revenue models to become even more what you call subscription-based model rather than a lump sum based model. Just imagine they can charge their customers for the number of times a door is opened rather than a lump sum number, right? So it is very innovative for them. It is so successful that they have engineered, we help them as well in engineering their entire platform to be multi-tenant, to be cloud neutral, another one. That means they can deploy their solution in North America in AWS. They can take their same solution to China and deploy them in Beidou or things like that. So that the Cumulacity and Webmans.io help them to become develop that platform that is cloud neutral as well. So for us, Kellton, definitely start off with from the beginning. Of course, they initially did some pilots on what you call tactical projects on IoT business modeling and so on. They initially leveraged certain IoT components from AWS and Azure in their pilot phase, but very soon they realized they don't want to reinvent the wheel, and that's when they jumped onto the Cumulacity platform. and we've helped them through that journey itself, eventually bringing them up to a level of full-fledged solution scaling. Right now, they are scaling their platform globally into multiple regions across the globe in multiple clouds in a full-fledged hybrid multi-tenant architecture. With that said, I want to open up the panel for questions. Let me see if we have any questions already posted. We will definitely submit this recording for viewing down in a few days, maybe. I think our team will compile and publish such a recording and make it available. Other than that, Jatin, do we have any questions that you can see from the audience? All right.
Yep. Probably would request everyone to put in their questions on the Q&A box on the Zoom panel, and the panel will answer them.
Okay. Well, at least I have one question. Maybe to Subhash, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Ricky, you can answer as well. I know we have 5G becoming a reality in the world now. How much is 5G influencing, maybe we can say, new age IoT solutions? And what kind of possibilities are now becoming a reality in IoT with the advent of 5G is something that would be interesting to hear.
Subhash, you want me to take this one?
Please.
Yeah, okay, great. It's actually quite fitting, Ram. I spent the last 4 years at one of the tier 1 MNOs in the US, and 5G, of course, is very important, from the telecom perspective as well. There is a bit of hype there. If I think about what the new buzzwords are, IoT was a buzzword in like the 2014 timeframe, and then cloud came along. And today, I think the two biggest buzzwords are edge computing and 5G. And I think that's because they're not very well understood. Let me summarize it to say 5G includes, it's going to be an evolution, right? So it's after 4 comes 5, and it brings along with it the underlying LTE, or 4G was supposed to be long-term evolution, as well as the low power wide area networks. So when we talk about narrowband, IoT, and Cat-M, those are the aspects of 5G that I think are mature enough that they're creating improvements and contributing to the scale and adoption of IoT. The other side of 5G is the ultra low latency and reliable communications that will enable things like remote control flying of drones, right? On that end of it, I don't see 5G rolled out wide enough from any of the MNOs, nor do I see the chipset availability or the modem availability at the price points that are going to translate into mass adoption right now. So, I'll say it's still 50% buzz, 50% real. The real aspects of it are actually available today. You can deploy over 4G, you can deploy over those low power wide area networks. But I do think over the next, as the other parts of 5G become more mature, and probably the 24, 25 timeframe, we're going to start seeing chipsets as well as networks being ubiquitous and strong enough that they will unlock and unleash some of those robotic surgery, remote drone operation, command and control of vehicles over a cellular network that aren't possible today.
And I've seen customers actually wanting to do a lot of POCs in that sphere. You're right, URLLC, the ultra reliable, low latency, and MMTC, which is for, I guess, massive amounts of connectivities, probably. Just imagine
massive machine type communication. Yeah,
correct,
exactly.
correct.
Yep.
Having 5,000 drones in the air talking to each other, and also, as you said, remote surgery definitely needs the ultra high reliability and low latency. I believe, yes, 5G is being spearheaded by the cellular providers of the world, but I also heard 5G will not be what you call a protocol for just the cellular world. It will also be outside of the cellular world, just like any other WAN or local area networks that we have dealt with, like LoRaWAN. 5G can also become a localized, managed non-cellular protocol as well. And that can be definitely be interesting to see how we can leverage them in industrial settings at a manufacturing plant and others as well. So thanks a lot for that as well. I think, let me see if I have one more question. I think it's a wrap. Thanks again for everybody for joining us today. I hope the topics have been interesting. We will definitely share this communication with you, the presentations with you as a recording. It'll be published on our website. Again, thanks a lot for everybody for joining us. You have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Subhash. Thank you, Ricky.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ram.
Ram.
Thank you all.